7 o'clock. This is the Plan Commission of the Village of Morton, the Monday, May 23rd, 2022 meeting. And Mr. Marks, will you call roll?
Yes. Guile.
Here.
Knepp.
Here.
Ritterbusch.
Here.
Keach.
Here.
Zobrist.
Here.
Opperly.
Here.
Yordi. Absent. DeWeese. Absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, so any comments about the minutes from the last meeting? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Okay, tonight we have one public hearing. And before we have our public hearing, I'm going to let our counsel, Mr. Pat McGrath, give us some information about what that means.
Thank you. Public hearing is being held tonight pursuant to published notice. Any person wishing to make a comment to the Plan Commission will be afforded the opportunity to do so and will give their testimony under oath or affirmation. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Plan Commission will make a recommendation to the Village Board. The Plan Commission makes recommendations only. The Village Board is responsible for taking final action on these matters.
Thank you. So the first and only item on the public hearing today is petition number 22-06ZA/SP. Subject property is located at 120 Detroit Parkway. A petition has been filed requesting a zoning change from B3 to I1 with a special use to allow open air storage. Is there anybody here from the petitioner who would like to make a presentation? You need to be sworn in with the secretary here. And
Please raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and the truth, nothing but the truth?
so please state your name and your address.
Sure. Derek Schreier. I'm an attorney with Davis & Campbell LLC in Peoria, 401 Main Street, Suite 1600, Peoria, Illinois. I represent the petitioner, Hamburg Commercial Properties LLC. Hamburg Commercial Properties LLC has been an investor in Morton for several years now. Its sole member is Bobby Hamburg, who was the founder of Autonomous Stuff. Over the course of the past 6 years or so, Mr. Hamburg has built his business, Autonomous Stuff, ultimately culminating in the sale of it to Hexagon. Autonomous Stuff has locations throughout Morton, primarily on Erie Avenue, but also a facility on Flint Avenue. Mr. Hamburg most recently developed a property at 117 Jefferson Street and only in September acquired the subject property to this petition. Mr. Hamburg was originally born in East Peoria, has lived in the area for a number of years, and now splits time between here and Florida, but he is committed to Central Illinois and really wants to see the Morton community thrive. And it was with this he identified the subject property as a potential investment opportunity and a redevelopment opportunity for the village. And he is proud to identify Givesco Construction, and Justin Ellis is here also to provide testimony about the proposed use. What is under consideration between Hamburg Commercial Properties and Givesco Construction is a lease with the potential, it's I think right now a 1-year lease, but it's potential for a very long-term relationship and possibly Givesco ultimately acquiring the property from Hamburg Commercial Properties. We feel that the proposed rezoning request from B3 to I1 fits the character of this portion of the village. As you can see from the exhibit on the screen, the surrounding areas to the east are in the I1 or I2 zoning classification, and the rezoning of this parcel to an I1 as requested would be consistent with the overall development plan for this area. Additionally, the request for a special use for outdoor storage is consistent with the current use of many of the properties surrounding that area, and we do not think it would negatively impact any adjoining property owners. Specific questions about the proposed use of the property, I will defer to Mr. Ellis, and he can describe what Givsco's Construction's plans are and what they plan to be producing at the property. The primary customer for this business venture would be Caterpillar, which will support CAT's operations throughout the area, including its Morton facility. With that, before I turn it over to Mr. Ellis, I will entertain any questions from the commissioners.
Any questions from anybody?
I guess I am curious on how frequently you're going to have deliveries there, and the deliveries and pickups, the product being delivered and the finished product being picked up. And I'm also curious if there is any intention of having the product stored outside, whether it's the material to make the pallet or the finished pallet.
I will defer answering that question to Mr. Ellis, just because he would be in a far better position to answer that. So,
Understood.
If I could ask, probably the village, as far as the property itself, in regards to the building as it sits now, if it did get changed to I-2, are we meeting requirements in the I-2 as far as truck access, parking, delivery setbacks, things like that?
So to answer your question, so this would be I-1. In the I-1, so this building meets the B3 setbacks, which would be 45 feet in the front, and the side, I believe, is 10 feet now on the west. So if that goes to I-1, it will be a non-conforming on setbacks.
What is the I-1
60
side yard?
feet in the front and 40 feet in the side. So it was clear that this was built under B3 criteria at the time. So if this does get rezoned to I-1, it would then become an existing non-conforming building. Now, as far as like deliveries pick, I think that was your question. I mean, that would go through like site plan review. So if it becomes manufacturing, that indicates there's going to be deliveries, maybe semis. They would have to prove or show how they're going to accommodate that, how trucks are going to get in and out, ingress, egress.
So just for clarification for myself, if the zoning was approved and changed, they still have to do a site plan review
Yes.
before, so you could require parking improvements or delivery drives or whatever if you found it did not
Yes.
suffice? Okay.
I've got some questions for you too, Brad, but I think maybe I'll let them,
Okay.
I think let's let them go ahead and finish their presentation.
Sure.
And then have further discussion about this. I'd like to hear, go ahead and finish your,
well, I will now turn it over to
Okay.
Mr. Ellis to give his
Okay.
presentation of Givsco's vision for the property.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hello, I'm Justin Ellis with Givsco Construction. Just to kind of get into what we do there with these skids or pallets for Caterpillar, they're all wood products. They vary in size and dimension and uses. Some of them can be as big as this podium, and then others can be almost 12 foot long, 10 foot wide, and about 8 foot tall. Most of them we make them specifically for different items for Caterpillar with transmissions, catalytic converters, some things we don't even know what axles, some things we don't even know what they're for. We have specific specs that we meet. Everything is heat treated, so it can be shipped overseas. So it's a process that we get certified, and we have a process of sorting lumber, make sure it's all heat treated, so no bug infestation, no mold growth. So it's kind of a clean process when it comes to wood processing. Most of our just kind of giving a brief description of what we do and maybe answer some of the questions too. We have bulk lumber that comes in on semis. So it comes in, we have a plan to get it on site. Mr. Breaker with Garber Heating and Cooling, we're partners in construction, so we know each other from 20 years ago. He actually did my geothermal at my house, so we know each other. I called him up, and we've made arrangements to be able to use part of his property to make that turn. The building and the site are very tight there to get a large truck in there, but with his help, we're able to make that turn and exit the property without any problems. So how we would see the shipments coming in would be on a flatbed. We'd bring them into the lot on our side, unload them with a forklift, and then put them inside the building. Right now, we have a facility that's about 11,000 square foot. This new one, warehouse area, I think we have close to 15,000 square foot. So we actually have more space, which is really good for us. So the plan is to bring everything in. Would there be product outside? Yes, there is that possibility. A lot of times we'll bring in trucks and unload the trucks, stage that material for, it's not more than maybe 4 hours, and then it's brought inside the building. That's a way to get the truck unloaded as quick as we can, get it on its way, and then we bring the material inside. There could be times where we bring some of our skids outside, but again, that's to get it staged for shipping out, and it's not it's usually, we usually ship out ourselves on like a 26-foot trailer with a 3/4 ton truck, not a semi. So we make quick trips, and a lot of times we have 2 or 3 trips going to Caterpillar a day. So there is a lot of in and out with our trucks, but it's a mobile truck. Trying to think some of your other questions that you had that I didn't already address.
Curious on staffing, how many staffing you will have there, if there'll be different shifts, and what would be the largest shift that you would have, the number. I'm looking at parking.
Yep. So we, the max we have is, or have had, is maybe 7. Typically, it's about 5. That might ramp up. A lot of you guys know Caterpillar. Sometimes lines get shut down and turned back on. We work usually 6 to 2:30. However, there are times where we work later, and a few times we work on Saturday and a few on Sunday. It's not often. It's maybe 5 times over the last 3 years. So very little of that.
All the construction operations of the pallets happen inside, though?
Correct. However, I will say this, there are some large ones that we do. So we pre-assemble the walls and the base, we bring them outside, and since they are big, right now they can't fit outside the door. So we have to build those, which they're pretty good size, so they look like a Menards shed, basically, out of brand new plywood, and they'll sit out maybe for a day until we get it loaded and out of there.
You heat treat that inside that building?
We do not. How the process is, we bring in lumber, and we actually have to sort the lumber and make sure it has a heat treat stamp on it already. We log every piece, and then we log every piece that gets cut up and put into a skid. So we don't do any heat treatment. After we confirm that everything was heat treated and stamped, we put our own stamp that goes over the whole assembled product, and then we log it, and with our stamp, it's saying the whole thing is heat treated. So we do not heat treat anything.
Other questions?
Well, the petition said the outside storage would be a dumpster and trailers. What kind of, would you have trailers there for several days parked? Would they have material in them, or what would they be in the trailers?
Yeah, so we wanted to be transparent with everything. So we do have a dumpster for cuttings and, off falls and things like that. There is a loading dock or a recessed loading dock at this facility now. We do not need that for our operations. So our intent is to put that dumpster, which a typical pretty good sized dumpster, in that area. So you'll see it, but it will be countersunk into the existing grades. And that'll be there at all times. As far as us in trailers, we have our 1 or 2 shipping trailers that we use from almost every day. And then we do have a couple construction trailers as far as like a flatbed, and we have a dump bed trailer. So we may have a couple cargo trailers, which are, have our logo on them. They're clean. They go to job sites. So that's in theory what we would have out there.
But all your raw material will come in on common carrier and be unloaded, and that trailer will disappear then?
Yeah, correct. Yep. Nothing sits there.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Is there anyone from the public? I don't think I see anybody that wants to comment or question, so let's discuss. My question, Brad, for you was, and I guess my comment is that, it's good to know what they plan to use it for now, but, it doesn't necessarily mean that company will be the company that is there the next time. I mean, because it's going to be now zoned I-1, right? So
Yes,
anybody can use it in whatever I-1 allows.
Yes, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, now we are focusing on this, but in the long term, you're correct. I mean, it can be anything that's in I-1.
I mean, that's really our job in
Yes.
this committee, is to talk about the land use.
Yes.
And so my question on the setbacks is, why is I-1, why does it have a 60-foot setback and a 40-foot side, or was it a 40-foot side yard and a 60-foot front yard?
Yes,
And
correct.
so
60 foot.
is that to protect the neighbors from noise, or?
I can only speculate on that. I would guess in an industrial setting at some point in time when these codes were put together that the more of the buffer seemed to be more appropriate for industrial type buildings.
And could it be maybe the fire department? Would they have anything to say about this? I mean, possibly getting, in an I-type use, you might have to get a fire truck around the whole building?
That's true. I mean, the fire chief does approve the plans on the exterior in all commercial industrial.
I'm just wondering why.
So site plan review.
'cause this-
I see what you're saying. Maybe that is part of it. That could be.
So,
Sure.
yeah, I'm talking about for any use that's there. I mean, what the kinds of things that can be used by I-3. What are some of the other uses that could go in there that might?
Well,
By the-
industrial
more-
is, I mean, it's very vague. Well, it's all kinds of manufacturing, fabricating, assembly, bottle plants, research laboratories, utility stations. There's 6 uses. But now, if you're in B3, you can be in I-1 as well, but because you're kind of going more of it's more liberal uses, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it would go through site plan review, so the fire chief would review their plan, their specific plan for their use.
What other discussion do we need to have? Opinions, thoughts? Anybody? Okay. I guess I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve petition number 2206 ZASP as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, and now it's, according to Roberts, we discuss. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's call the roll.
Keach,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Opperly,
Yes.
Ritterbusch,
Yes.
Guile,
Yes.
Zobrist.
No.
Approved.
And that closes our public hearing portion. Under other business, I just want to make a comment and thank publicly Dr. Craig Smock, who has resigned from our board. I've been on the board with him for a long time, and I just thought he was a wonderful board member. He did a lot of hard work. And specifically, I can recall when we all were hashing through the mixed-use zoning ordinance, and he was instrumental in doing some research on that. So I say thank you to Dr. Smock. Any other business?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Motion to adjourn, then.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.